The Windy is the first of the elemental cards of the Clow, and is one of the original cards seen in Volume 1. At the top of the card we can see the kanji character, here being the word kaze, meaning wind or breeze, confirming the association of this card with its element. Elemental spirits of the air were personified by the alchemist Paracelsus, of whom conceived them as sylphs, fairy-like beings of which can be taken as a personification of the air, and are described in the alchemist's work Liber de Nymphis as being beings which are close to humans, as both of us move through and are sustained by the air. When depicted in Alexander Pope's book The Rape of the Lock, sylphs were shown with wings to convey the light, fluttering nature of air upon them, and were thus some of the earliest ever depictions in literature of fairy creatures with wings. In fact, it's thought that during the process of creating this work, inspiration was taken from butterflies and moths, a symbol of which we will return to shortly. In the tarot, the Swords cards are associated with air, and also of Aquarius, Libra and Gemini. Air is something all around us, being an important condition for life to arise, and it is also the carrier for sound. Thus air is associated with the intellect, the sharpness of the mind, and the division of formation and abstraction. As a side note, the Windy is the only card of which Sakura does not need to capture, as she already has it, suggesting both that air must exist for us to gain and sustain life, and also that the card could symbolise a beginning. Like a sword, air can be cleansing and honouring, or violent and destructive, sometimes inadvertently so. In this regard, the essence is invoked when Sakura unwittingly causes the Clow cards to scatter via the whirlwind energy of the Windy card. In the third eye area of the character, she is adorned with what appears to be a winged headdress, somewhat suggestive of the god Hermes, and yet also of his role as a psychopomp, a guider of souls from the living to the dead. The wind in this case reaches everywhere. It would casually blow through all places, including difficult to reach areas. The wind can fit in small cracks and tight spaces, and can even travel underground. Hermes can fly in any direction to reach the edges of the earth, where the gates to the underworld were said to exist. Hermes in Roman mythology is Mercury, and it is therefore connected to the element of air via Mercury's rulership of Gemini, an air sign. The green colour of this headdress could represent the heart centre, and therefore suggest this is a kinder and more temperate quality of air, rather than its more destructive alternative force. This is also shown that we are dealing here with an enlightened being, rising upwards to meet with the union of the crown or sun at the top of the card. The figure herself represents a moth, bringing back the overall image to one similar to Paracelsus's sylphs. She also appears to have within her elements of chrysalis and metamorphosis, a powerful symbol of rebirth and of new beginnings and growth. A cocoon can be a place of safety, and yet also of death, and it is in fact shown in some symbolism as an allegory of the tomb, the winged transformation therefore being an ascent of the soul. That said, death in tarot is almost always a dying of an old world, a shedding of skin akin to the birth of the moth into a new environment. Entering into the cocoon means a willingness to enter into the dark and to withdraw via our own choice. It means putting aside the distractions and dictations of our life, and instead looking inside, turning to face ourselves, our own fears and our own hopes, rather than constantly running away from that of which we do not want to face. Only then can we begin to see shards of light appearing through the chrysalis and eventually be reborn to a new world. The moth is also closely related to the Fae, and it's possible that sightings of colourful and rare moths could say something of the origin of folklore such as the will-o'-the-wisp and small fluttering forest beings. These creatures, like sylphs, are liminal. They flutter without effort in and out of sight, or in front of and behind the veil separating worlds. And so they are free from the obstacles which bind us to the physical, much like how the windy card is said to be able to use the wind to blow away objects, a symbol of the clearing away of limitations. On the same theme, the crossing of her hands and her hair are a further nod to this elemental crossing in and out of different realms and worlds. The card has feathers upon her shoulders, and feathered wings such as this have been shown on many goddesses and deities throughout the world, from the goddess Mart, of whom wears an ostrich feather to symbolise balance and justice, to Thanatos, a deity of death, and the twin brother of Hypnos, sleep. Winged angels are metaphorical. They manifest a sublimity present in nature. And that is why the angel Gabriel was represented with wings. Not that the angels would actually have wings, but as a symbol so that you may know that they leave the heights and the most elevated dwelling to approach the human world to come down to us. Accordingly, the wings attributed to these powers have no actual meaning other than to indicate the divinity of the nature of such beings. The windy is an elemental card. It speaks of our intellect and our transformative ability, much like the cocoon, the chrysalis turning into the moth or the butterfly. The energy of air and the sylph-like crossing of worlds can be suggestive of subtle energies, the energies of thought and of introspection, as well as the choice to use our intellect and communicative ability to shape, form, and to renew our own manifested reality.